A hidden ledger of a ruler's inner voice, written in ancient Greek, captures brief moments when authority meets personal doubt. Each entry reflects a choice to align thought with duty. The language remains simple, yet it seeks order amid chaos. The entries are terse, often a single line, yet each carries weight. They reveal the emperor's habit of turning observation into instruction. Such disciplined recording becomes a mirror for the mind. These private pages show how a leader turns turmoil into measured reflection. Through them, one senses the steady pulse of reason that guides action. The quiet persistence of such writing endures beyond any single reign. In this way, the record reminds listeners that power rests on inner steadiness. It shows that even supreme authority seeks clarity through simple reflection. The quiet cadence of those lines invites a steady mind to pause and listen. In the pause before a question, clarity emerges. The work contains no fixed divisions. Instead, fragments drift around themes that shift with each entry. These brief notes gather impressions of duty, virtue, and transience without formal headings. Each fragment points to a single concern, yet together they map an entire interior landscape. You may notice how the mind seeks patterns even when structure is absent. This awareness reveals that meaning lives in the gaps between thoughts. When the mind rests on these spaces, it finds steadiness amid disorder. The absence of imposed order invites attention to what remains unsaid. It matters because understanding this shape prevents the need for rigid categories. The fragments echo each other in silent rhythm, softly. Permit the listener to feel the quiet rhythm of scattered reflections settle. The quiet advance of moments passes unseen by most. 12 distinct sections mark the phases in which the composition was formed, each reflecting a different span of time. Within each section, the mind recorded observations that corresponded to the circumstances of that period. These recordings reveal how perspective shifts as experience accumulates and understanding deepens. Each phase was entered when external duties demanded attention, yet inner reflection remained possible. The cumulative effect is a detailed account that shows the progression of a life devoted to duty. Recognizing these intervals provides a clear overview of how thought matured across successive periods. Each stage contributes uniquely to the entirety. The progression allows quiet contemplation. In the stillness, the mind can rest on the continuity of experience. the breath before thought settles. Prayers rise toward the unseen source, seeking balance within. They quiet restless impulses and align intention with inner harmony. The practice steadies mind against external turbulence. Each deliberate pause builds strength and clarity. When alignment deepens, the heart meets duty without strain. Thoughts settle with purpose. The moment invites presence that shapes action with calm resolve. Attention turns inward to observe the subtle shift. Balance appears through consistent practice across all activities. Commitment to this state sustains inner peace through changing circumstances. It becomes the foundation for all outward decisions. The mind remains steady amid change. It endures beyond fleeting desire. Daily return to this practice reinforces inner stability. Consistent effort cultivates a lasting sense of calm. Before any task arises, stillness holds the space within. In this quiet moment, the mind meets its own desires. Self-discipline is the practice of guiding those impulses toward purposeful action. Recognition creates distance, needed to decide rather than be driven. Each moment of restraint builds a foundation for steady character. When impulses are mastered, external disturbances lose their power to disturb inner steadiness. Habit forms when each choice reinforces the next, shaping character over time. Through disciplined response, one remains anchored amid chaos, preserving mental clarity. Steady practice cultivates resilience against fleeting temptations. You notice the shift when restraint becomes natural. It settles like a stone placed in still water. In this settled space, the mind rests without need for further instruction. In stillness, reason awakens before any claim. Reason invites us to observe how all things follow a consistent pattern, a flow that does not shift with desire or fear. In this observation, the mind sees that every event rests upon a principle that remains unchanged, regardless of circumstance. When attention rests on this steadiness, judgments lose their grip on external outcomes and turn inward toward clarity. When judgments align with this order, disturbance fades and purpose steadies. The mind then rests in the certainty that nature's pattern is accessible through reason alone. In this stillness, the self no longer seeks validation from external change, but finds its ground within the unfolding order. Thus the practice of contemplation provides steadiness amid shifting circumstance. What once seemed lasting soon fades. pursuit of fame and material success rests on conditions that are never permanent. When applause diminishes or wealth slips away, the mind searches for a hold that does not exist. This shows how quickly external honors dissolve without warning. Only steady recognition of impermanence can loosen attachment to fleeting triumphs. The realization invites a steadier focus on what endures beyond surface change. The world offers no guarantee that acclaim or riches will remain for long. Public opinion shifts with each new event, and therefore cannot be relied upon for lasting security. When those eyes look elsewhere, the perceived gain disappears instantly. You may notice how quickly admiration turns to indifference when attention moves elsewhere. Rest in this simple truth without seeking further proof. The quiet hand that meets each task without craving gain. Action rooted in duty requires doing what is right, simply because it aligns with virtue, not because any reward or praise follows. That stance removes attachment to outcomes and steadies the mind against disturbance when results differ from expectation. Why this matters lies in preserving inner freedom. When external success cannot sway purpose, character remains unshaken. Through daily practice, one learns that true worth resides in the act itself, not in its fruits. When duty calls, the mind chooses clarity over chaos. Such choice cultivates resilience that no circumstance can erode. When you act for duty alone, the soul rests in alignment with nature. All things move together as one living breath. Every being shares a common source that binds thought, action, and existence. No event occurs in isolation. Each ripple touches every other part of the whole. The cosmos is a single flowing field where change in one corner reshapes the center. When you recognize this unity, concerns about isolation fade and purpose aligns with the whole. Feeling the weight of each breath is part of a shared rhythm that never ends. In moments of doubt, the knowledge that all lives echo together steadies the mind. The awareness settles like calm water, reflecting an endless sky without need for judgment. In this view, every action becomes a contribution to the shared tapestry of being. Rest in the quiet before each day begins. Notice the present. Life moves forward with a speed that leaves little room for hesitation. A moment arrives unannounced and departs without warning. Time does not wait for anyone, urging swift reflection. Time is finite. Each sunrise marks a step closer to the inevitable. Understanding that all things pass removes attachment to fleeting concerns. When you recognize impermanence, the urge to cling fades, leaving space for calm decision-making. This awareness sharpens purpose, urging action aligned with what truly endures. When the day ends, let the knowledge settle quietly. Carry this simple truth into every hour, allowing it to shape choices without force. Let the awareness linger unhurried until the next moment arrives. Before any distraction arises, stillness already exists. When external demands recede, inner calm becomes apparent. The practice requires simply letting go of what cannot be changed and turning inward. You will find clarity grows when attention rests on the present moment. Allow the mind to settle when external motion fades. In this stillness, judgment aligns with nature without effort. The inner quiet that emerges supports steady decision-making in all affairs. This state does not demand achievement. It simply invites presence. When the outer world persists, the mind remains anchored in its own depth. The practice remains effective regardless of circumstance. It nurtures resilience without effort. Nace the quiet space before any word is spoken. In that stillness, the mind first meets the impulse to react. Gratitude toward those who shape character through criticism or hardship means recognizing each sharp remark as a gift that reveals hidden fault lines. Such gifts are not punishments, but invitations to refine thought and action. When one accepts this view, the heart opens to learning rather than resisting pain. The practice transforms suffering into a source of inner strength and clarity. It matters because every external test becomes an opportunity to align behavior with deeper purpose. The mind, once stirred, begins to see each trial as a teacher. Hold this understanding gently as it settles within. Allow the notion to rest without further comment. Beneath every circumstance lies a simple choice. Your power rests in the thoughts you choose and the actions you direct. Everything else unfolds without your command. When this truth is held clearly, tension loosens and focus sharpens. The mind steadies when it stops demanding control over what cannot be moved. Release the urge to shape outcomes and let go where it does not belong. Act with intention where influence exists and release where it does not. When you recognize this split, decisions become lighter, and energy no longer wastes on resistance. Clarity arises when attention no longer wrestles with the unshaped, allowing presence to flow freely. The practice cultivates a steady ground beneath shifting circumstance. Rest in the distinction between what can be shaped and what simply is. The world shifts beneath every breath you feel. Impermanence is the ever-changing nature of all things, never pausing to stay the same. It invites letting go of fixed outcomes and meeting each moment as it arrives. When change is accepted without clinging, the mind finds room to breathe and observe. Attachment creates tension that clouds perception. Release steadies attention. The impermanent flow is not loss, but transformation that shapes each experience. Holding tightly to what seems stable creates tension that erodes calm. Releasing attachment opens space for clarity and ease. Answer this truth to settle quietly within the mind without judgment. When the mind rests in this openness, resilience grows and fear loosens its grip. The practice of acceptance becomes a steady anchor amid shifting tides. In the quiet before thought, reason awaits. It is a steady current that orders inner dialogue and external perception alike. This order does not arise from impulse, but from a universal principle that shapes every judgment. When reason guides perception, choices become aligned with the deeper pattern that underlies all experience. In this alignment, clarity emerges without the need for external validation. Through sustained practice, the mind learns to discard noise and attend only to what aligns with universal order. Such alignment brings steadiness amid change, allowing action to flow from a source deeper than personal desire. When this occurs, the inner landscape settles into quiet confidence. The practice requires no grand declaration, only steady attention to the flow of thought. In this attentive space, reason serves as the principle that aligns perception with coherence. Zidding consists of living in harmony with nature and reason rather than chasing wealth or honor. It means measuring worth by inner alignment instead of outward success. Such a stance frees the mind from restless craving. This inner steadiness endures beyond fleeting fortunes. Thus the mind remains unshaken by change. External triumphs lose their shine when inner purpose remains fixed. The soul then rests on immutable principles that no circumstance can alter. When one aligns daily conduct with natural order, the mind attains calm. External circumstances then cease to disturb inner equilibrium. This steadiness allows perception of events as parts of a single rational. The practice cultivates resilience that no loss can erode. In this state, the mind rests without need for applause or reward. It simply knows its place within the ordered cosmos, not ice. The quiet space between breaths. The practice asks to observe every mental image that surfaces without judgment. It also calls for listening to each spoken phrase before it leaves the mouth, and feeling each movement of the body as it occurs in the present moment. This habit builds a clear view of how fleeting thoughts drift through awareness. Such steady watchfulness, steady speech toward honesty, and grounds action toward purpose rather than impulse. When this watchful stance is maintained, reaction fades and intention clarifies. The mind then moves through events with a calm that reflects that condition supports actions that arise from purpose rather than habit. Rest in the stillness of this awareness. Allow it to remain undisturbed. Now, it is the stillness that precedes action. Set a clear purpose before entering the day. Define intention held, not outcome expected. Choose calm as the tone for every encounter. Put attention on what can be shaped, not on what cannot. Carry this orientation into the moments ahead. When purpose is anchored, external events cannot disturb inner steadiness. This preparation builds a buffer that separates stimulus from reaction, allowing measured response rather than reflex. The mind that rehearses calm meets difficulty with measured response, preserving clarity amid turbulence. Equanimity becomes a steady rhythm that carries through tasks, relationships, and decisions. When intention is clear, choices emerge from stability rather than impulse. Let the day unfold with steady presence, allowing the practice to settle without further instruction. In a quiet pause before rest, focus returns. Evening review calls for an honest appraisal of each action against the measure of wisdom. This inspection strips away excuses and reveals where conduct aligns or diverges from true understanding. The mind, trained in this quiet reckoning, sharpens its discernment and cultivates restraint. When deeds are judged by wisdom, the path forward clarifies without need for further judgment. The habit nurtures humility, allowing error to be met without defensiveness. In this quiet assessment, the standard of wisdom becomes a steady compass rather than a distant ideal. It leaves the listener with a calm awareness that each day ends with honest reckoning. Before shapes the world, what simply arrives already waits. Each circumstance unfolds as part of a larger rational pattern. To love fate is to align inner response with that pattern. This alignment invites calm acceptance rather than resistance. When desire yields to acceptance, the mind rests in harmony with the unfolding cosmos. Such surrender does not diminish responsibility. It refines intention toward what is true. The mind that accepts what comes finds disturbance dissolve. Such acceptance removes the need to resist or wish otherwise. This stance steadies action while honoring the order that governs all. In daily moments, this practice cultivates calm without demanding outcomes. When the heart embraces what is given, external turbulence loses its grip. This steadiness becomes a quiet foundation for all further deeds. Even the faintest breath echoes through all living things. That truth reveals a shared network where every creature is bound to one another. When one part stirs, the whole responds in kind. This mutual dependence means no life exists in isolation. Each joy or sorrow ripples outward. Recognizing this connection steadies the mind against fear of loss or gain. It invites you to act with care, knowing every gesture shapes the whole. In moments of stillness, the pattern becomes clear, a quiet hum beneath all activity. The rhythm settles steadily without ending. Listening requires only presence, not effort. In that stillness, the network reveals its steady pulse. The cosmos breathes as a single living whole. All beings share this quiet rhythm. The stillness before thought gathers the mind toward what endures. An ordered cosmos arises from a rational principle that permeates every phenomenon. This principle is evident whenever attention rests upon the patterns of nature without distraction. Through quiet contemplation, the mind perceives the underlying logic that orders all events. Reason illuminates the hidden connections that bind all things into a single, harmonious whole. When the mind rests in this clarity, it sees the same law governing stars and stones alike. When you recognize this underlying order, judgments align with the natural flow of reality. The practice deepens perception and steadies intention as the universal order unfolds. Over time, this alignment cultivates a calm that reflects the cosmos itself. Placing care where it matters shapes the world. When actions aim at the common good, they echo the shared nature of humanity. Such alignment strengthens community and deepens personal integrity. The fabric holds when each thread honors the whole. These practices root ethical conduct in a universal pattern of interdependence. When each individual contributes without seeking reward, the collective foundation grows stronger. The rhythm of shared effort becomes a quiet guide for daily life. Purpose grows when individual deeds serve the greater whole. Recognition fades as service remains unseen, yet essential. Steadiness emerges when effort aligns with shared purpose. A steady presence arises from serving something larger than self. Such alignment nurtures resilience across generations. In this space, the world finds its own equilibrium. Feel the stillness before any event. External circumstances do not determine inner state. Thoughts shape how experience unfolds, assigning value where none exists in events themselves. The mind reacts by labeling, approving, or rejecting what occurs. Such labeling creates attachment to outcomes that are beyond control. When this is seen, desire for outcomes loses its grip. Peace arises from recognizing that only inner appraisal matters. Noticing that external happenings carry no inherent weight allows the urge to cling to fade. The resulting freedom is a steady inner space, untouched by fortune or loss. It invites clear action without the burden of expectation. Remaining in this awareness steadies the mind for whatever comes next. Hold this truth as you move forward. In the hush before challenge arises, calm resides. When desire seeks to dominate, disturbance follows. Mastery over desire steadies the mind against turmoil. It means observing cravings without letting them dictate response. By holding back impulse, the inner voice remains clear and unshaken. This clarity allows events outside to pass without disturbing inner peace. The outer world may shift, yet the inner steadiness holds. When adversity arrives, the trained mind meets it with equanimity. The practice matters because external circumstances cannot be controlled, yet the inner stance remains steady, allowing purposeful action. Such steadiness transforms difficulty into opportunity for growth. Mastery over desire becomes the quiet anchor of lasting tranquility. The mind rests, unmoved by passing challenges. Before the world rushes forward, there is a simple rhythm that underlies all action. It describes conduct that aligns with how things naturally unfold. When actions reflect this harmony, they become truly virtuous. It matters because only through such alignment does life find steady purpose without reliance on external reward. When actions reflect natural order, they reduce disturbance and bring clarity to intention. This steadiness allows the mind to remain undisturbed by fleeting outcomes. Such movement leaves no residue of regret. When intention aligns with nature, the heart moves without strain. The practice settles into a calm awareness of its place within the unfolding order. It invites a quiet confidence that arises from within. The inner ground awaiting seed. Thoughts are seedlings that take root when tended with care. When attention is given, mental seedlings receive water and light. Neglect leaves them barren, exposed to harsh winds of distraction. Cultivation transforms fleeting impulses into steady growth. The resulting steadiness anchors decisions, shapes character, and quiets unrest. Each tended thought becomes a root that draws strength from the present moment. Over time, the garden within expands, offering shade to weary minds. When the inner landscape flourishes, external turmoil loses its grip. The garden remains alive as long as attention returns, gentle and persistent. Beneath crowns lies the same heartbeat of all. Authority carries no shield against ordinary uncertainty or weariness. The reminder strips power of illusion, revealing a shared human condition. When leaders internalize this truth, expectations soften and judgment steadies. It invites humility as a natural response to shared limits. The practice reminds that greatness does not exempt one from doubt, fatigue, or error. The reminder becomes a steady compass when ambition rises. Such humility prevents the erosion of trust that accompanies unchecked superiority. It allows decisions to arise from clarity rather than ego, supporting actions that serve the common good. The mind, once freed from the need to prove invulnerability, rests in steady presence. In this stillness, the notion settles like calm water reflecting unchanged sky. You notice the practice, enduring quietly, rooted in shared frailty and humble resolve. In each breath lies an unnoticed chance to start. The notion holds that existence itself is a continuous arena for shaping virtue. Every act, however small, becomes a repetition of training. When practice fills each day, character deepens without reliance on outcome. This steady shaping yields resilience that no external event can unsettle. The practice becomes the quiet foundation of a life lived fully. Rest in the quiet continuity of practice. Each moment holds the same invitation to begin anew. The day unfolds, steady and unhurried, as training continues until the final breath. Daily effort to settle quietly. In this calm, the notion rests, unforced and whole. This steadiness remains even when external circumstances shift. Simply notice the continuity of effort as it flows. Each sunrise offers the same opening. The training continues without need for external reward. In the quiet moments before action, intention shapes reality. When inner truth guides outward duty, decisions emerge without pretense. Authenticity requires that governance mirror deeper principles held, not merely public appearances. Such alignment ensures that every decree reflects a consistent inner conviction. Over time, this cultivated steadiness becomes the quiet foundation upon which decisions rest. When such integrity guides, counsel, policies emerge that honor both reason and humanity. The resulting harmony reduces conflict and nurtures resilience across institutions. When leaders act from this sincerity, trust deepens and collective purpose stabilizes. It matters because genuine conduct steadies authority and unites those who follow with quiet confidence. One acts with the same sincerity each day. One carries this steadiness forward without further remark.